Hello and welcome. My name is Carol Carter and I'm the founder and CEO of GlobalMindED. We are all about creating a capable, diverse talent pipeline to get more women, people of color. Any way that you can define diversity is how we define diversity. And we're dedicated to getting that amazing group of talent into the education, economic mobility, and leadership pipeline. We do that in a number of different ways, one of which is an annual conference each year. And last year and this year, that conference was virtual. So this is the culmination of the last 10 weeks of our virtual conference for 2021 called Reboot Resilience and Rebound Remarkable. And almost all of our panels have had students at the table. They have had majority diverse people as panel leaders with also diverse panelists serving on the panel with their perspective. And we also this week have our first gen leaders. So the whole week is dedicated to programs to really help our first gen leaders know how to tap into resources and the hidden curriculum and the people who are the role models and the mentors who can help them get experiences, internships, and jobs. So that's a lot of what we do. We also have monthly equity events led by leaders of color in STEM and technology, health professions, higher education, K-12, and also there's a track for foundations and funders. And finally, we have Inclusive Leader Awards every year across 15 industry sectors. So we know that for us to really have diversity at all levels of society, we need to make sure that our diverse leaders are as well known as sports stars and movie stars. So that in a nutshell is what we do. And I am thrilled now to introduce to you Kwame Johnson, who is leading this wonderful panel today. And our topic is how to be a mentor and how to be mentored. And I want to invite Kwame to share just a little bit about his personal story, and then we'll be hearing from the rest of the panelists, and then be going through questions that can enlighten each of you if you are a mentor or if you are somebody who's going to be working for the first time this summer or next year with a mentor. So welcome, Kwame, and welcome everyone.
Thank you, Carol, for including me in such a great panel. Look forward to speaking with everyone and learning about, how their mentoring relationships are going. I've been in the mentoring space a long time. I've been in youth development, should I say, in a long time, my whole adult career. I'm currently the president and CEO of Big Brothers Big Sisters Metro Atlanta. We specialize in one-to-one mentoring, working with young people all across Atlanta, serving roughly 1,200 matches every day of mentoring relationships. We've been doing this work for over 60 years here in Atlanta, so we know a lot about mentoring and just best practices in mentoring in general. I tell people that relationships change people, not programs, and it's really about relationships, and that's what we're here to talk about. Mentoring has played a big role in my life. When I was a young person, I made a lot of bad decisions and ended up in prison at the age of 17. And my mentor at the time was my coach. And he literally stuck in there with me, said, we're going to get you out of high school, get you into college, brought me my schoolwork when I was in jail, would pick it up every week and bring it to me so that I could successfully complete my senior year in high school. And I've had a number of other people throughout my journey who've poured into me to help me become, the CEO of the largest mentoring organization in the state of Georgia today. So mentoring has played a key role in my life. And I believe everyone has gotten to where they are because someone has poured into their life. No one has gotten to where they are alone, right? If you have, we need to sample some of your blood and we need to clone you, because I haven't met anyone who's gotten to where they are without having a mentor in their life. So that's me, and I look forward to being a part of this panel and having a great conversation about mentorship.
Awesome. And do you each want to just introduce yourselves and maybe start with Shannon to kick us off?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Carol, for having this amazing panel. I'm so delighted to be here. I'm like Kwame, I'm very passionate about mentoring. I've been mentored by many, many people all the way through my professional career. I am very proud to be a board member with GlobalMindED, and I've been involved with the Colorado Foundation and Funders Equity Team. And then also, most recently, I've been working with Scott Bemis and Carol and Celeste with GlobalMindED to co-lead the GlobalMindED and mentorship program here in Colorado. So I've been really blessed to be able to participate. We have 25 mentors, mentoring 25 mentees nationwide, and it's just been an incredible opportunity. I've been in banking for 18 years, and one of the greatest joys I have is being able to connect authentically and show up authentically with other people and share challenges and opportunities and learn and grow together. And mentoring has been that space for me.
Phuong?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Phuong Dinh, and my story is kind of similar to Kwame's, where I had a rough start earlier in my life, rough as in my family came to the United States as refugees, and my parents did not go to college, so I was essentially first generation. And I had a goal of getting into healthcare. At first, it was on the medical side, and then I decided to move into the administrative side. But it wasn't for, if it wasn't for my mentors, I wouldn't be where I am today, and as well as my sponsors. They gave me advice and guidance that really helped me make those seemingly small decisions that made a huge impact in the direction in which my career and my life turned. So currently I am managing value-based programs at CU Medicine for essentially the UC health system. And that's my first position outside of an administrative fellowship where I worked with top leaders of a large healthcare organization. Outside of work, I also am on the board of the Colorado Health Administration program, Alumni Association. So I'm the president of the board, and we're actually working on a mentorship program where we connect our alumni. We have over about 2,000 alumni who are well established in their careers, and we're hoping to connect them to students in healthcare administration within the school. So mentorship really has taken me this far, and I really hope to give back by mentoring others myself. And honestly, I'm not at that point where I am at the top of my career. So I'm still being mentored by other people. So it's really like a circle of life here where we're all supporting one another.
Thank you, Phuong. Thank you for your story. Hector.
Hi, I'm Hector Ramos Diaz. I recently graduated from the University of Portland with a math degree. And I don't know, this is kind of, I don't know what to say. I don't know. I love helping. I love math. I love talking. I'm a very passionate person. And just like everybody has talked about, I've had my own personal struggles that have made me the person that I am today. And without, these wonderful people here and others that have been on my side, I wouldn't be where I am today without them. So.
Thank you, Hector. Yonus.
Hi everyone, my name is Yonus Harris. I'm an aerospace engineering student at the University of Michigan. I'm going to be a junior this upcoming academic year. And I have to say, ever since I was in second grade, I've had a big passion for space. And as I came through my middle school and high school years, and eventually looking towards college, not only did I want to study space, but I also had a passion for building what got us there. Saying I looked up to people like Elon Musk and his SpaceX, seeing how he built that from the ground up. And it's been really inspiring to me. I want to be one of the people who help build towards the future of space. So you could say I'm more focused on the space part of the aerospace. And for being part of GlobalMindED, I've been very proud to be one of the 25 ambassadors over the past academic year, as well as being part of the mentoring program, and hope I can take some of my experience and help with others for this upcoming year.
Well, thank you for that, Yonus. So let's dig into some of the questions. The first one is going to be for Shannon and Phuong. As mentors, how can you best design alliance, set clear expectations and goals, and define professional relationships with your mentee? I think you're on mute, Shannon. Yeah.
I was on mute. Thank you very much. I'll jump in on this question. I am, as I said earlier, I'm really passionate about mentoring. And I think what's really exciting about this, and to answer this question fully, is to look at the psychology of what relationships is, and then to look at what mentoring really is from an opportunities perspective. So I'm incredibly excited because Hector Ramos is my mentee, and I've had a great honor and great privilege of mentoring him. And when we began the conversation, I always want to connect from a heart-centered space with the people that I'm around. And mentoring gives us an opportunity to show up for other people. It's about the journey of who we are, where we're going, what we want most in this life, and then using the mountains of experience that we have to help support one another be successful and grow and learn something and connect in the world that we find ourselves. So one of the things was really important for me, and Hector will kind of nod his head, because I really like to understand where somebody is coming from. Are we coming from a heart-centered space, and are we talking about what's on our heart and what's in our mind? So when we first connected, I wanted to find out who Hector was. What was he passionate about? What drives him? What motivates him? What's his background about? Tell me about his mother and his father. But it's also a very balanced conversation, because as a mentor, we set sacred space and we allow somebody to open and share as they feel comfortable. And so it really was a lot of give and take in the very beginning, because we hadn't established trust. And to establish trust, we really started talking about little things that Hector was passionate about. And we shared in that joy, and we shared in that excitement. And then it was about positioning each conversation. And I keep going back to the head and the heart. I always ask Hector at the beginning of our conversations, is there anything in your head or on your heart that you want to talk about today? And how are we going to spend our time together? I also set the intention that I had an open door policy. So anytime we connected, I invited him to text me, call me, email me if he was having challenges during anything. He's just graduated from college. And so the conversation was going through college, he was working through at a job, and all of those challenges that came up personally and professionally. And then the last piece I'll share is that before we left a conversation, so we always tried to meet face-to-face as much as possible, which meant in the COVID times, it was about connecting on Zoom. But we always try to have a personal connection where we could look into each other's eyes and really have that connection. And then we always set a meeting. Before we left our meeting, I said, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? And let's set our next meeting. So every time we parted, there was an engagement and an expectation of where we were going to connect next time. And then the next thing I really learned from Hector, and Hector taught me this, was that he shared with me in a very, I think what's really profound about Hector is he's very honest. And so he let me know that sometimes he gets overwhelmed. And so we came together and I said, well, after our conversations, I will send you a summary of our conversation. And when we did research on power words, I would send him information on how to follow up on some of our dialogue. So I think, how we begin a conversation with developing rapport, developing trust, allowing the conversation to flow in a very natural place, and showing up with integrity, compassion, and respect for where each person is, and then allowing the conversation to grow in the relationship to flower. There is a deepening of understanding and appreciation that just goes naturally when you show up authentically for somebody.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Shannon. It's an important piece. Phuong, anything to add there?
Yeah, well, when I started with my mentee, her name is Jessie, and she goes to Winfield in Oregon, and she's studying to be a nursing student. So at first, I thought, well, I'm in the field that she wants to go into. But so I asked her, hey, are you interested in healthcare administration? And she says, I hate it. So I'm in that field. So I felt like, well, what can I do for Jessie? But I did set the professional expectation with her that, I'm here for you to grow your career and to grow your professional life, and potentially personal life if it gets to it, but mainly for your professional life. And don't be shy about using me. If there is anything that I can answer for you and I can help you with, I will. If not, then I would use my network to do so. And so I set that very clear for her. If she wants to talk to like a nurse practitioner and talk about grad school applications, I will connect her. If she wants to talk about applying for jobs outside of college, then I will connect with her to someone. So I said it very clear, even though I'm not working in the field that she aspires to enter. So that is the professional piece, but just briefly about the personal piece, I think mentoring is really about providing your friendship to this person. It's just forming a friendship. It just so happens that I potentially have more experience than her to share in that friendship. And part of that friendship is like we have access to one another, not just during the meetings, but outside of the meetings as well. We have our cell phone numbers. I tell her about my personal life, and she tells me about her personal life. I tell her about, what I did for work, my life story. So really nothing is off limits in our conversations, and it flows very naturally. It doesn't feel structured because I don't really have like a set agenda, but it really, my agenda in my mind all the time is to learn about how else I can help with her in her career. So that so essentially there's the professional component, but first and foremost, I like to be a friend to her so that she knows that she can reach out anytime she wants.
That's great. And, setting expectations and goals is a best practice in mentorship. In my line of work, we actually pair our matches with a coach. So having a coach there to actually help you set those goals and checking in with you on your progress each month is super important. So that's the best practice for sure that others should think about when they're getting into these type of mentoring relationships. What I've also heard you both say, which is important about mentoring relationships, is that both sides get something out of it, right? Too often we go into a mentoring relationship and we think it's a one way, I'm going to give, Shannon, you're going to pour into Hector, but you actually get something out of it as well. So you can measure that on both sides. So I just wanted to highlight that, but it's super important to set goals and clear expectations in the beginning, but also to measure those things throughout the relationship, however long that lasts. I want to go to Hector. Hector, how has mentoring experiences changed, impacted your life and future life decisions?
To begin, I guess is what this mentorship has really done for me is it's kind of made me more comfortable about asking questions and overall just asking for advice on what I should do. Personally, I'm a very closed off and reserved person. So for someone like me, it's not very easy to open up. And I don't know why. I mean, it's hard for me to trust on anybody, but having a mentor like Shannon, I felt really comfortable to just being myself and, anxiety, that fear that, they weren't gonna like me kind of went away after I kept talking. And that was a really great. And another good thing about her is that she really opened my eyes to things that I may have seen, but didn't fully realize or notice. And that's what really made me a genuine, better person. And the great thing about this mentorship is that, while, she gave me so much insight, she also learned about my strengths and my weaknesses and used what she heard and took it to heart and used that to guide me in a positive way. It really meant a lot knowing that she used everything that I've shared to really reassure me and really help me, in this world that I'm in currently. And, as a first-gen student, it can be really hard sometimes, if you can feel lonely, you can feel left out, you feel like you're alone, but being able to just have a mentor, it's just really changing because, at least I know that someone genuinely does care. They want to hear me. And, it feels genuinely really nice to have someone be really excited to see me and really want to hear from me and really want to see me grow and be the person that I can be. And, with Shannon, she really kind of helped me come out of my shell in a sense and really use my uniqueness, my personality, and everything I'm really passionate about to bloom into the person that I am now. And, just having Shannon, having this person on my side, willing to celebrate these small milestones and these small things that to others they might not seem like a lot, but to me it just means so much and it makes me feel so much more proud. And with having someone like Shannon on my side, it gives me that determination to keep on going and keep on working on the skills that I want to work. And also to end off, I'm a very pessimistic person, if I'm being honest, but Shannon, has helped me be more positive by reassuring me and telling me that, I'm such a positive person, and using that reassurance, having those words said to me really kind of helped the way and the outlook of how I see my life in the future.
Thank you, Hector. Yonus, what would you say? How's the relationship, the mentoring relationship impacted you?
Well, mentoring in the GlobalMindED coaching class, as well as being mentored by my great mentor, Lisa Neal Graves. And I do have a younger brother, so I do kind of mentor him, as I always want to make sure he's doing well. All these experiences have allowed me to look deeper at myself. Like, I could ask myself some deeper questions. Have I fully applied my own advice? Have I tried to understand things to the best of my ability? Like, what I'd say is that by mentoring and being mentored, trying to understand someone else, it allows us to more efficiently look at what might be challenging us, as well as opportunities we can take, just to better understand yourself at your core.
I agree. I hear all the time, particularly for young professionals who are being mentored, that they get help building confidence, right? We all have skill sets and degrees and different things, but if you don't have that confidence, you can be limited professionally, but also personally in relationships. So mentors really lean in that thing, in that kind of way. I've also heard a lot that about potential. Like Hector and Yonus, you all both talked about things that you already had, but a mentor helps bring out that potential. They don't create it, it's already there, right? But in many ways they bring it out and they defend it in a lot of ways as well. So that's super important. But thank you both for sharing. Shannon, I want to go back to you. What did you learn this year that can make you effective in the future as a mentor?
Kwame, thank you so much for the question. I'm going to answer it from a little bit of a different angle because along with being a mentor, I had the great honor and privilege of managing, guiding, and helping a group of mentors as well. And so I want to take a little bit of that perspective, if you will. When it comes to guiding the mentors and mentees, what I learned is that it's really valuable to have something to share. And when we create sacred space, we present all of ourselves and we're 100% able to receive what is being given, and we're also able to give. And so when you go into a conversation where you are positioning yourself to be able to give, I think that's a really profound thing. When we're in the journeying of a mentor, I told all of my mentors, I said, this conversation, the conversations you're going to have are going to be meaningful. They're going to move mountains. They're going to shine a light on potentiality, on ideas, concepts, feelings, and emotions. And you're going to watch these mentees grow right in front of you. And at the same time, you're going to have an opportunity to join this journey and learn something about yourself that you may not have really recognized. And so together in that relationship, we grow, we become better people for the conversations and the energy in those interactions. And so one of the things I learned is that I set up a mentor circle where we could connect and learn just from a mentor perspective. And what I learned is next time, Phuong, I have to thank you for this because Phuong and I had conversations offline, is that I think as mentors, we're also looking for opportunities to learn. And so next time, maybe not having it just as a networking opportunity, but also to learn little bits about personal performance, psychology, bring something to the table that's new and different that the mentors can then share with their mentees. And I think that a way to enrich both of our relationships and all of the relationships involved is to continue learning and being that that guiding light that is also willing to learn as well. And to make yourself a more effective mentor for myself, something that I learned is that I take notes. I take copious notes when I was with Hector, because he said so many things that were profound. And I would pause and I say, Hector, do you realize what you just said? Pause for a moment and feel what that feels like. And he'd be like, he was surprised. He's like, well, I never saw myself as that kind of person. I said, but you just said it. You just demonstrated that conversation, that success, that mentality is who you are. And so really focusing on the emotions and the thoughts about what is really being shared authentically, and then being able to position it and open up new gateways and new doorways that maybe he didn't necessarily know were there. And so for myself, taking notes, but I'm going to be a little bit more structured about my notes, because sometimes I don't take the greatest of notes from a standpoint that I'm so involved in the conversation, my notes get messy. And so I've been taking my notes and transcribing them onto the computer and sharing those with Hector, so that any insights that I learned along the way in our conversation is also being presented to him, and in sharing in those insights. And I think that's really amazing.
Thank you, Shannon. Phuong, what have you learned? We're still living through COVID, and mentoring is different during COVID. What have you learned in this past year to help be more effective?
Me? Oh, yes. So during COVID, well, even if it wasn't COVID, my mentee is all the way in Oregon. So we meet on a regular basis, and it's not like we can fly to one another for those meetings, unless we just decide to meet up and hang out for the summer or something. But I did learn that having regular meetings is super important. So we do have like a calendar series already set, so we don't need to think about to set up the next meeting. And what I did learn about being a mentor, not just during COVID, but in general, through my interaction with Jesse, is that I need to develop more of my tool set for evidence-based strategies for major challenges that come up, particularly for this age group, so for college students. I know that I can bring certain guidance and advice based on my own experience for topics like time management or public speaking and presentations, negotiating growth opportunities or salaries, applications to grad school, finding a similar position that builds your resume, things like that. But it might have worked for me, but considering that my mentee is going towards a different career path, I potentially need to research more of what are the evidence-based strategies that in general work for all fields, or even for her own field. So so far, having the conversations and using my own experiences have worked, but I don't know if it would have been better if I had more evidence-based strategies. So I'm working on building a tool set, and it would help if the larger mentorship organization would have those available. And like Shannon said, during like the mentorship circles, having those kind of tools introduced to us so that we can have them available to work with our mentees would be great.
And you know what, I'm going to just jump in right there because we got that feedback. And so this year we have 12 kind of training modules for mentors with, 3 to 4 powerful questions and the kinds of things that you can do to be aware of where they are in the semester and the kinds of needs that they have, whether it's summer, fall, or spring semester. So that was good feedback, and we got that in pouring that into a digital platform so that the mentors can reference it, and then we can scale it when we're working with, thousands and ultimately, millions of students and their mentors.
That's awesome.
Great. Thank you, Phuong. And, I think we learned a lot. I saw one of your questions come about mentees you being more inclusive in the workplace. as a result of being a part of a mentoring relationship. And I think that's, I don't know if there's any evidence-based practices around that, but I can tell you that when you spend time with someone who doesn't look like you, you become more open. And it's kind of hard to hate someone if you're close to them, right? So I think mentorship can play a huge role as it relates to bringing people closer together, which we need more and more so as a country. So thank you for highlighting that, Carol. And Mentor is an organization that does a lot of work in the mentor space, a lot in the youth development space in particular, but there are also other resources on their website around best practices that I would encourage others to check out. Mentor is a great leader around best practice in the mentoring space. So Hector, wanted to ask you, what is the most powerful coaching question or insight that's been shared with you by Shannon?
I don't even know where to begin. Like every meeting she always has something very powerful or insightful that really means a lot to me that I can't even like remember. But honestly, like to me, what really helps me a lot is the fact that, the positive reassurance, the fact that, Shannon, says I say some very powerful words, that I'm a strong person, that I have some fire. That always gives me so much hope and makes me feel like I'm doing the right things. And at the end of the day, having that to me means so much because, for me, and I'm a very not negative person, but I always think that I'm not, I feel like everything I do, I feel like, I don't know, I'm always very pessimistic and I'm always hopeless. But with Shannon, her saying that makes me go in the right direction. And I guess a specific example would be, yesterday, I asked Shannon, about certain questions about, how to make a right decision when it comes to picking a job. And the insight and advice she gave me, having to make a pros and cons list, and how she said it was kind of I don't know, cliche, whatever. But at the end of the day, that to me, that meant a lot to me. And we also talked about budgeting and having all this stuff. And I don't know, it really meant a lot to me. And aside from that, other things that she's really helped me with, like I have a lot of mental health issues, and the fact that she's willing to understand and kind of give me some advice or even activities and tasks to work on my mental health and anxiety and depression are things that I really appreciate. I've never really met anybody who's been just amazing at that, who's been willing to just work with me and just give me tasks and things that can really help cope with my anxiety in positive ways. She gives me, hey, in a sense, she also connects with me and says, I struggle with this and this is what I try. And so I try to do it and it really helps. And I really enjoyed that. And I'm really grateful that I've had a mentor like Shannon to be able to do that for me, because it really helps me and it really makes me optimistic, and it really helps with my own mental health issues, but also knowing that there are people out there who are willing to like learn and educate themselves and also make people, like not just me but anybody, be the best potential person. And so it's really left a big impact on me.
Well, Hector, thank you for just being open and sharing, in particular around mental health, because so many people struggle with that aren't brave enough like you to talk about it. And thank you for that, for sure. Yonus, anything that stands out to you that's impacted you, a question or insight in your mentoring relationship?
Well, like in Hector's situation, it's kind of hard to pull just one thing from my interactions with Lisa to point out. But if I had to do one thing, it'd be going back to one situation during my first, for one of my first math tests sophomore year for a difficult math class. I was kind of like very distraught about it. It was really hard math class. I was trying to get through it, as well as just preparing for more stuff on ahead. And she just helped me kind of calm myself down. And I also realized through that is that in order to do some more difficult stuff, you are going to need and going back to understanding yourself more, just look into yourself. What can you do? You want to really focus on pacing yourself. While you always want to make sure you can push your boundaries and do the best that you can do, you do need to understand how to pace yourself effectively in order to reach those heights.
I agree. And Carol, you mentioned in the chat being consistent, super important. Like that consistency. In my line of work, we ask that you spend at least 8 to 12 hours a month with your mentee, right, as a best practice, that you stay in that relationship for at least a year, because we know that can do more damage if you leave it in a relationship too soon. So these are all very important things. And thank you, Hector and Yonus, for sharing. Yonus, as you work with your mentor in the future, what should be added or included to make the experience more worthwhile what would you say?
Well, one thing I think that could be added is maybe perhaps a one-on-two mentoring program. That could be where you can also have an extra person watching one person mentoring the other and try to switch between it. So you can also see how someone else mentors someone and how to more accept the criticism from someone else, if you get where I'm going here.
I got you. Hector, what do you think? What's some things we could add?
I mean, and I feel like the biggest thing for me is just being able to meet in person. Obviously, it may not be possible. Also, no live in, but for me, having this like in person, it means so much to me, and I like to connect with them because at the end of the day, I like to be friends with everybody I meet and talk to. But anything else, I guess, just in general for anybody in the future, mentors, I feel like for the mentee, especially, sometimes it may be hard for a mentee to open up and reach out to the mentor. And so I guess having the ability for mentors to kind of reach out, but at least having some structure in order of how to like go through for not just for mentees, but for all the mentors, and having a specific structure how to go through with all this would be really great, because the people like me, I sometimes need structure and a plan and how to do, because I get overwhelmed easily. But sometimes I feel like, I mean, my mentor has been doing a great job, so I have nothing. But for anybody in the future, having the ability to just have them reach out to us and make us feel comfortable is just the best. That's just the thing I could ask for, something that makes it a lot better.
So one more question for Hector and Yonus as it relates to your fellow students. What advice would you give them that can help them make the most out of a mentoring relationship? Like, how could they work effectively with their mentor? What would you share? What insights would you share with your fellow students, Yonus?
Well, connecting back to what Phuong said is that you really want to make sure you utilize your mentor. You want to keep in contact, ask as many questions as you can. You really want to like try to get as much expertise from them as you can. Not only they can help build your professional life, but as you build that relationship, likely they could also help you with personal things as well. And of course, it's also a two-way street. You'll also be helping them grow as a person and perhaps better mentor other people in the future.
Hector, how about you?
Honestly, just from my own experience, just be yourself. Just be honestly the best. Just be genuinely yourself. Like, don't be scared to be who you are in front of them, because at the end of the day, while they may be kind of intimidating or overwhelming to meet somebody who's really professional, they're just as excited to meet you as we are to meet them. And really at the end of the day, they just want to talk to us. They want to reach out, and just like they can always teach us something, we can always teach them something by talking about our experience and being by ourselves. And sometimes like Yonus was saying, we just asking questions and being not scared. Sometimes some of our questions may not make sense, but I can guarantee that any mentor would gladly answer that question in order to make us the best person possible. But yeah, asking questions, not like everybody's saying, utilizing your mentor, not being scared to reach out, because they are there to be there for you. They are there to support you. And so just reaching out whenever, at the end of the day, that will just be amazing, because as a first gen student, there's people, there's things that we may not always have that support, but we do at least have the mentor, and we'll have that endless support by them at the end of the day, no matter what, whether the mentorship ends, we have at least this one solid connection who is on their side, who wants us to succeed. And really, that's just the most I could say to anybody to get the most out of experience, because that's what I did. I was scared, and I allowed myself to be myself, and now I'm really happy and really accomplished and feel really grateful for this experience.
Now, I will just chime in on there just to say that a lot of students, when they start out, they don't know what this is about. It's natural to feel intimidated, but when you work through those fears and you get to the other side of it and you learn how to forge a relationship, this mentor-mentee relationship can help you get the relationship with your professors that you need and those business connections that you make through all these organizations. So really being able to pay attention to being fearful of some of these things are normal. And when you start to work through that in the future, you're not afraid of those things. So for most students, especially those we're working with this summer, this will be like the first, really professional relationship. And that's such an opportunity to set up those relationships really for the rest of your professional life, as well as learn your own skills someday that you'll have as a manager when you're mentoring others.
Exactly. I know for sure we have two future leaders in Yonus and Hector, and it's been a pleasure, just chatting with you all and hearing about your journey. And, Shannon and Phuong, thank you all for stepping up to be mentors in young professionals' life. It makes a big difference. We've learned a lot through COVID. We've learned that we can use technology to, supplement. And I think we can continue that moving forward to keep these relationships when you may not be in person all the time. But I do believe that relationships live in person. Like, you should spend time in person and chat over a meal, or, have these conversations close to each other. But definitely thank you, Hector and Yonus, for your leadership, and Shannon and Phuong for stepping up to be mentors to others. So, Carol, I don't know if there's more questions in the chat box or.
Yeah, let's go ahead and invite, we have several of the students that we're going to be working with this summer. And if you all want to go ahead and just post some of your questions in the chat, that would be tremendous. And then we can have different folks answer your questions. And asking questions is another really powerful thing to do in these kinds of situations, because most of the time when you ask a question, there's 5 or 6 other people who have that same question and they just didn't want to ask it. So I'd say that's another one of those professional skills. Just get used to asking good questions, because that's part of advocating for yourself. So feel free to share, more about that as well. And while we're waiting for questions, I'll also say that some of the people who we're working with this summer, we're going to be working with some of the group that Shannon worked with this past year with our 25 Every Learner Everywhere GlobalMindED ambassadors. But we're also working with several of the Stanford MBA alum groups. We're working with folks from Salesforce, and we're working with several other Microsoft alums, which GlobalMindED was chosen to be their charity. So those are people that are living all over the world, many of them all over the US. And those are some of the professionals that are really looking forward to working with you and helping you as you start school this year. So that's part of that. And let's say too, for people listening who are mentors themselves, or maybe they're not even a college student, feel free, anybody who wants to put advice or suggestions in the chat, feel free to go ahead and put that in as well. Love to hear from you all.
I will say one of the things that we did with the GlobalMindED mentoring program is that we sent all of our mentors, and some of our mentors were new to mentoring. We sent them all probably about a 2-page, maybe a 2.5-page list of open-ended questions that can be used to really understand and kind of open the door to the conversation to mentoring. And I think that was really valuable. We got a lot of feedback from folks saying that that was really valuable. To help them feel comfortable as a new mentor, because it's a new territory. Just because you're good at managing a team doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to be a mentor. And so I think that these conversations and these questions that we offered in advance really help position our mentors to be successful.
That reminds me of one other thing too, Shannon, is that thinking about the ways in which students can, really get to know themselves and see themselves in this professional relationship. And I think it gives so much more confidence to take your freshman composition draft and go to the writing center, or go to see the tutor and get help with your math homework. And these are all things that you're paying for as a student in college. And so the more that you're taking advantage of those things, the better. And that's a lot of what I think mentors also, do in a supporting cast kind of a role. Yeah. So it looks like we got a question. How do you position mentors versus career advisors? That's an excellent question. I can take that one. So career advisors are people or advisors in general on the college campus who generally help you navigate college. They help you figure out, what is it that you want to do with your degree? What's the best kind of degree that you want to go into if you're in School of Engineering or School of Medicine or pre-med or School of Liberal Arts, as I was. And those people can help you think through what your course of study should be. But the professional mentors, the people who we're working with, they're there to help you with how you grow personally, the ways in which you see yourself as that professional with the degree that you're going to get someday. You know, they're there to help you really as a believing mirror for the kinds of things that you want to do in your life outside of school. So think of the advisors and the career folks, they help you while you're in school, and these other folks will help you with the perspective when you're out of school, and also how to succeed on your internship. And maybe if you want to go study in, you know, Spain or spend a semester in Washington, D.C., they can help you with that type of thing as well. And then someone asked the question, how will our mentors be paired with us? That's an excellent question. We're actually going to manually do that this year because we're developing a technology to algorithmically connect you. So you can eventually be connected with 3 or 4 different interests that you have with mentors that match that. But this year we're going to do our best to just match around people who we think would be a good fit for you. So that's a great question. And then Mara asked, are there any exercises that help hone in on goal setting for the mentor-mentee relationship? You know what, Mara? I would just say that's just a natural thing. And you can say, I don't have as much experience, you know, goal setting in this way. So I'm open to any way that you as my mentor might help me, you know, with that process, because I want to get good at it. They don't expect you guys to be like diamond cut with all these different skills. Right, Phuong and Shannon? It's just like, it's organic, you know, that's part of what's so cool about it.
I think that's what it is, Carol. It has to be organic. And, you know, honestly, as mentors, and I know I probably speak for Phuong too, but sometimes we'll get questions and we may not have the answer right away. I can't tell you how many times I went to my computer when I was on a call with Hector, like, I don't know, let's find out what power words you can use in your resume. And you know, I sent him the Strength Finders book so that he could hone in on maybe what he wanted more. So I think just having an openness to finding the right resources, and those resources will just be there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the advantage of, you know, having us as mentors is that we do have a network that we can connect our mentee to for anything and everything. And like I mentioned before, my mentee wants to be in a completely different field than I am in, and she hates my field. So but I do know people, a lot of people who are in her field that I can connect her to help her achieve her goals. So that's one of the value that we bring as well, the networking.
Yeah. And here's another question. And I'll just also say that I think it's interesting that Jessie, who's going to be a nurse, she kind of hates your field, but I would really like to probe, why does she hate it? Like, what is that? What is that about? Because you're in a field that supports nurses. So sometimes I think we can help as mentors understand some more sophisticated concepts that on the surface, you know, may not be as clear. So that's also just a lot of good opportunities for perspective. But here's somebody in the Q&A. Denise said, I work in student support services. I'd like students to know that it's okay to come in and ask for help, even if you don't know how to ask or even what you need. Come on in and just let us know what's going on in your mind and what you're struggling with. We are happy to help you figure it out. And, you know, then that way, the kind of support that you might need would be revealed. That's such an awesome point, Denise, because making the connection is like the main thing, because once you make that connection, a lot of other cool things can happen. Any other questions or thoughts or ways that this awesome panel can help you all, whether you're like Denise and you work in student support services, or you're somebody who's a professional who's never mentored a person in college before, or you're one of our college students, you know, getting ready for this experience yourself. Have you all ever had a mentee on the verge of giving up? Well, you guys can answer that. I mean, Kwame, I'm sure you've got experience with that, but I'll say that honestly, there were a lot of people feeling like giving up this last year coming out of going through the pandemic. And what's so great about this relationship is, you know, people help people to be hopeful and to hang on and to persist. And so many things, like Kwame sharing his story in the beginning, the difficult things that he went through as a young adult, and that made him strong to be this amazing leader he is now. So.
Yes, and I think, we learned this past year through COVID, that mentoring is more essential than ever. Mental health and the challenges people have faced personally and in work have been very, very real. So everyone, I think, at this point needed someone in their corner to help them navigate some of these challenges, which in many cases had no playbook. So yes, many people felt like giving up, but I think that just talks to the importance of mentorship, whether it's on a personal level or a professional level. And if you are out there and feeling like you have too much on you, reach out to somebody. There are people here that can help you and be supportive to you. That is what this is all about.
And, Kwame, I just wanted to jump in here because I think it's really important for the mentees to know that there's no subject that is unapproachable. So if there's a problem or a question that's out there that they're experiencing, there's nothing that is not appropriate to have a conversation with your mentor. I just wanted to put that in there because there are some very sensitive conversations then when you create a relationship of trust and when you choose to be vulnerable, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and when you show up with courage with somebody else, then that's where some of the answers will come. And I just wanted to mention that because it took a lot of courage for Hector to say that he had some mental health issues and conversations around wellness. A lot of our conversations for Hector was around shining a light on that and some of the gifts that he had learned that he maybe hadn't realized. And so I just think it's important to have those conversations. And even if you're nervous about it, that it's important to have a safe place where you can go and talk to somebody.
And here's another question that Jordan is asking. Wouldn't it be best if we got put with someone in our field? Like, do people have multiple mentors or just the one that they were put with? And what I'll say is we are going to try our best to put you with people in similar fields, but we're also kind of dependent on the different people that show up from these different groups who want a mentor. And what I would say is that sometimes when you're working in a company or a big organization, you might have somebody who's a mentor. They're not in your department, they're not in your job, they're not even in your lineup, but you respect them and they are your teacher. And so what I would say is if you get paired with somebody who's a mentor, and let's say you're in the School of Business and they're in the health professions, or they're in media and the arts and you're in business or whatever, I would just really maintain that open mind, like the beginner's mind, and really know that no matter who it is that you're paired with, there's so many amazing things that you can learn from them. And really there's such a skill and an art in getting to know people and getting to know them well. And that's kind of the opportunity that I would see, is that for you to really mine, their experiences, their backgrounds, their learnings, their path, and how that can teach you on your journey, even if professionally they don't have anything in common with you.
I agree with you, Carol. I mean, there were a lot of great benefits that both Jesse and I have had with having different perspectives. And we work in the same industry, so the healthcare industry, but our positions are different. I'm more on the management side and she's more on the clinical side. And so we share that, and she's able to benefit from my perspective on the management side and how to run an organization, focus on population health, and make sure that all the different stakeholders within a clinic or a hospital are working well together and make all of those connections. So I made jokes before about her not liking my area, but we just joke about it. And that's the fun of it. Mentorship is not just the structured conversations that you have, but you have a lot of fun as well, because it's more like a friendship more than anything. So I'm able to say those things because we laughed about it a lot. So a lot of great benefits with getting different perspectives. And, if a student is already studying that, I'm pretty sure that they have mentors already within the school or within connections that the school can make within that specific area. So I'm not too worried about her having mentors in her specific field.
Yeah. Well, one of our partners, so the folks that are part of this with North Carolina A&T, they're going to have the professional mentors through us. And then there's a group that they're going to work with, and they're going to be paired with some upperclassmen, juniors and seniors, who are going to be helping them really tap into all the resources within the university. And I think like that's the best of both worlds. You know, you get a professional person and then somebody who's just a year or two older than you are. And someday, you know, in a few years, you'll be in that role mentoring incoming freshmen. So that's a cool, I think, cycle of life there. Any other questions you all have, or maybe if you guys just want to have kind of parting thought for the students that are part of this today, or like Denise, those working with students, those who want to support students, and those who are going to be really referencing this, both mentors and mentees in the future, watching this segment to get a good sense of how to set goals and expectations and be effective.
I'd just like to say, you know, thank you, Carol and Shannon, you know, for inviting me to be a part of this. I'd love to hear that you all are going to be using preference in the mentoring relationships more and making that alignment even stronger, because that will definitely help strengthen those relationships. And I would just encourage the students on the call just to seek out different mentors throughout your journey, and that take different forms, you know, professional, personal. But you got to lean into people around you, in particular people who are at levels or where you're trying to get to. You know, if you want to get to a certain level, you know, go on LinkedIn and look up somebody who's already there and see what they did, you know, and follow that blueprint. But just bring people into your circle that can help you and be open to asking questions, being vulnerable, like you've heard Hector and both Yonus be today, because you get the most out of listening and learning and asking good questions.
Go ahead, Shannon. If you guys want to each do a wrap thought.
Sure, I'll jump in here. You know, whether I'm talking with my mentors or I'm talking with my mentees, I'm always very passionate about saying that mentoring is a journey. And in that journey, we lean into each other, we support each other, we show up for each other, and we demonstrate, I've told Hector, we demonstrate how we show up for each other. And that means how he shows up for his little brother. It means how he's going to show up in his business. It means how he shows up for his family. And so, you know, in the journey of mentoring, whether you are a mentee or a mentor, there is a whole mountain of life experience out there. There's so many different skills and so many different relationships, and the depth to which you can take those is profound. And I'll circle around with what Yonus said in the very beginning. In his mentoring experience, he was able to shine a light on who he was and get better clarity about who he was, what he stands for, what he believes in, and what's important. I started the conversation, our very first conversation with Hector. I said, let's talk about what 3 of your defining moments are in your life. And he paused. He's like, oh, well, I've never thought about it that way. And if we look at it from a defining moment standpoint, mentoring allows us to show a light on those defining moments and look backwards and forwards about what type of person we want to be and how we're going to show up.
Well said. Phuong, I'm going to do closing, then we'll go to Yonus and Hector.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate everyone coming together for this. It's really about us supporting one another. In the olden days, it was really hard to connect to someone to help grow your career, professional life, particularly if you came from an environment that didn't have many professionals in the first place. I grew up in an environment where my parents worked very respectable jobs, but it wasn't the one that I wanted to get into. So I would just say, like I messaged in here for Jordan, if you find somebody who you respect and you feel like you want your life to be in that same path, even if it's a celebrity or someone super famous, reach out to them. I recently reached out to a hospital CEO you know, and just reach out to them and try to establish a relationship. And if they are not responsive, then that's okay. At least you tried. And this is for you, for your future, and for the future of the community, because the more that you grow from your mentorship relationships and the more that you grow in your career, the more you're able to give back. So I wish all of you best of luck.
Yonus, you want to go with your closing thought, and then we'll go to Hector.
Some things I'd like to say to everyone is believe in yourself. I know that this pandemic has been hard on many people, especially mentally, trying to get through it. But I know that everyone here in this panel and that might be watching later is able to do great things. And I want you to believe in yourself that you can do that. And that to allow your mentor to help you. Like you utilize them, as said before, like tell them what your goals are, questions you have about it. Just really try to strive for the best things you can do for yourself and the people around you.
Hector.
I guess what I just want to finish off saying is that I guess I'm grateful for this mentorship, and I'm really grateful for everything, my mentor has done, for everything, you guys are doing. And really, it's just nice knowing that, there are people out there who really just want to help you and want to see you excel in life and really just want to, I guess, like crack you and just make you the best person ever. And honestly, at the end of the day, without these people, without this mentorship, I mean, I don't know where I'd be. And I'm really grateful that this organization has really made me a stronger person, has made my mentor a stronger person. And at the end of the day, I'm just glad how in this relationship, in any mentor-mentee relationship, we're always teaching each other. We're always learning. And at the end of the day, we're both helping each other achieve more in our lives. And, I feel like at the end of the day, I hope and I want everybody to be able to get the support that I've been able to, because it is a really great experience and it really changes and it really impacts you in so many positive ways that now at the end of this ambassadorship, I can see the change and realize how much I've grown and how much, I've become a powerful, strong leader, and how I've been influencing, how I've been wanting to make this place a better place. And that's, all I could say. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. And Kwame, thank you for stepping up to lead these incredible people today. And I loved what you said earlier, that like our nation and our world, it needs people who can come across, party lines and different fields and different points of view, and that we can all learn to understand each other, respect each other, and support each other to do great things in the world. And we can have a world where people are all like that. And that's really like the global-minded, really inclusive community, and that's our goal. So thank you for being a part of that, and thanks to Hector and Yonus and Shannon and Phuong, and to all of you who attended this today. And I just want to share a couple more sessions we've got this week, so you can join us tomorrow. We have a session tomorrow called Where Are They Now? And we'll have all these different people who were part of the 2015, 2016, 2017 Global-Minded Leadership class. And they're sharing where they are in their jobs and what they've done since then. And it's going to be pretty interesting. And then Rocio Perez, who is our director of leadership and was a person who was involved in their first gen leadership when we were live, she'll be leading that panel. And then on Thursday, we have a real treat where we have Ken Epps, who's an incredible leader whose parents were actually sharecroppers. You may have met him in our newsletter. And he went to South Carolina State, then Stanford MBA, started 3 tech companies. And he'll have a lot of his business first gen colleagues who have been very successful on his panel called What Industry Leaders Look For in Students and Graduates They Hire. So these are going to be the inside secrets from people who are wanting to hire a diverse talent pipeline. That's on Thursday, again, 4 o'clock Eastern. And then finally on Friday, we're going to do a session called First Gen Role Models. What does success, inclusive leadership, and contribution at the highest level, what's it look like? So we hope you'll join us for each of those, and really delighted that you could spend the afternoon with us today with these incredible humans. So thanks everybody for being here and for making time. Take good care. Bye everybody.